Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're going to be looking at something that's super important for the business world.
Okay.
We're talking about business transfer agreements.
Sounds interesting.
We'll be exploring what they are and why they're important, and some key things to look out for, whether you're buying or selling a business, or just want to understand more about this crucial part of business.
I think this will be really helpful for a lot of people.
What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, business transfer agreements, they aren't just legal documents. They're really more like stories,
Okay.
about how a business goes from one owner to another.
I like that story.
Yeah.
So let's start at the very beginning. What exactly is a business transfer agreement?
Right. Well, it's basically a contract.
Uh-huh.
It makes it possible to sell or transfer a business, or sometimes just parts of a business.
So it's not always the whole thing?
No, not necessarily. It could be the whole thing, or it
Right.
could be certain assets.
Makes sense. So this agreement basically ensures that everything goes smoothly when a business changes hands,
Exactly. It's about making that transition as seamless as possible.
not just about the money changing hands.
Right. It's also about making sure that the business can actually keep running
Yeah, that's a good point.
and without any hiccups along the way.
So why is having this agreement so important?
Well, it lays out all the important details,
Yeah.
like what's included in the sale, the assets and the liabilities, how the
Ah,
payment's going to work, any warranties that are involved, and what each party's obligations are.
so it's kind of
Yeah.
like a super detailed roadmap
Yes,
to make
exactly.
sure you don't get lost on this journey.
Exactly. And to make sure that you actually end up at the destination that you expected.
Right.
You don't want to end up somewhere totally different.
No, definitely not.
That could be a disaster.
Okay, so we've got our roadmap. What are some of the most important landmarks along the way?
Well, the key thing to remember is that a business transfer agreement is all about transparency. Okay.
And reducing risk. It's like having a really clear blueprint
Mm-hmm.
before you start building a house.
So you know what's going where.
Exactly. You know what materials you need, and you're way less likely to have the whole thing fall apart on you.
That sounds pretty important.
It is.
So the source we were looking at mentioned some really key clauses
Oh, yeah.
to include in these agreements. Like you said, the description of the business, the purchase price, confidentiality, non-compete agreements, and then what to do if there are disputes.
Those are the big ones.
Can you break down each of these clauses
Sure.
for us?
So the description of the business,
Right.
this is more than just like the name of the company.
Okay.
It's about really diving deep into what the business does,
Yeah.
how it operates, who its customers are, any contracts it has in place.
Oh, wow.
So, for example, let's say you're buying a bakery.
Yeah.
This clause would cover everything from like their secret sourdough recipe
Okay.
to their contract with the flour supplier.
Sounds pretty detailed.
It is.
What about the purchase price? Right. So the purchase price, it's rarely just a simple number.
Oh, right.
Can involve things like payment structures,
Uh-huh.
earnouts based on how well the business performs in the future,
Mhm.
even adjustments based on the final inventory or accounts receivable.
So there could be a lot of factors
Yes, definitely.
that go into that final price.
Okay.
For example, if the bakery had a big order for a wedding cake, the agreement might say that the price changes,
Exactly.
depending on whether that order is filled before or after the sale.
It's about making sure that the price reflects the real value of business.
So it's kind of like when you buy a plane ticket and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden there are all these extra fees.
Yeah,
But at least with this agreement, everything is transparent from the beginning.
exactly. You know what you're getting into.
So what about confidentiality?
Right. So when you're
Mhm.
dealing with a business transfer, there's often a lot of sensitive information involved.
Makes sense.
So the confidentiality clause protects that information, both during the transfer and even after it's completed. It's kind of like a vault for trade secrets and customer data.
You definitely don't want that sourdough recipe getting out to your competitor.
Exactly. You want to keep that under wraps.
So that brings us to non-compete agreements.
Right. These are really important. They basically prevent the seller from just turning around and starting a competing business,
Okay.
like right next door. So in our bakery example, this clause would stop the owner from opening up a new pastry shop right across the street.
So the buyer is protected
Exactly.
from having their investment undermined.
Exactly. And it also protects the unique value of the business.
Okay, that makes sense. What about that last clause?
Dispute resolution.
Yeah, nobody wants to think about things going wrong.
I know.
But it's good to be prepared.
Absolutely.
So what happens if there is a disagreement?
Well, that's where dispute resolution comes in.
Uh,
It basically lays out a process for how you're going to handle any disagreements, whether it's through mediation or arbitration or even going to court as a last resort.
so it's like a safety valve
It
in case things get a little heated.
Exactly.
Now, our source mentioned something called Legitt AI.
Yes. AI is really changing the game when it comes to contracts.
It's amazing how technology can make these things so much easier.
Legitt AI makes sure that all those essential provisions we talked about are actually included in the agreement and that they're tailored to the specific deal and the laws of wherever the business is located.
So it's not just about speed.
No,
It's also about accuracy
definitely.
and making sure everything is legally sound.
It's like having an experienced lawyer
Yeah.
right there guiding you through the whole process.
And making sure you don't miss anything important.
Exactly.
So to sum it all up, business transfer agreements. They're essential for anyone buying or selling a business.
They are.
They protect both parties and make sure the transition is as smooth as possible. And thanks to tools like Legitt AI, creating these agreements is becoming easier than ever.
It's a win-win for everyone involved.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So if you're thinking about buying or selling, keep this deep dive in mind. Business transfer agreements are more than just paperwork. They're the foundation for a successful future.
Think of it like this. It's like a handshake,
Okay.
but it's backed up by a solid plan. So you know that the legacy of the business is in good hands.
And that it's ready for the next chapter.
Exactly.
Really well said. And remember, this is just a starting point. Always seek professional legal advice for your specific situation. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We'll see you next time.